I was actually more happy with my body before I started going to the gym than after I went to the gym, which is strange, right? Because objectively, my body got better. My body got more aesthetic. I had lost body fat and I had put on muscle. So by any objective metric, anyone would hear that and see that and say, okay, you've got a better looking body. But I was actually more unhappy with my body after I started going to the gym. Why is that? It's because not only did my body change, but my perception and my expectations changed as well. So it's actually a very fascinating thing when we actually think about it. When we encourage people to go to the gym and when we encourage them to get a more aesthetic body, to lose weight, to put on muscles, we're not actually encouraging people from a place of like, oh, do this so you feel better about yourself. I mean, we do, but we say that they'll feel better because they're going to look better. So we set expectations for what the results of going to the gym should look like. And then when you go on social media, you see all these people that are on steroids that are either super unnatural, or you're going to see people that are like genetic freaks, because what's going to propagate to the top of the social media? It's going to be the most impressive and aesthetic looking bodies. And then what you end up getting is you get these distorted expectations of what should happen when you go to the gym for a certain amount of time. And so what this leads to is this has very devastating consequences. And I experienced this firsthand because I, for the longest time, didn't really care what my body looked like. But then after a while, I kind of wanted to get on the wave that everyone seemed to be on, every man, where it's like, we gotta be fitness gurus, be super about our health. And I watched a whole bunch of videos about it, and I got into it. And a big part of my inspiration was trying to get a more aesthetic looking body. I was like, I'm gonna get the most best looking body. And then I started to look up to fitness people and their bodies that sometimes after like 20 years of training, some of these people are on steroids. Like some of them are like very transparent about their steroid use. This became my frame of reference for what I wanted from going to the gym. So I had set an expectation. And what happens when you set an expectation? If you don't meet that expectation, you have created disappointment. So I got into fitness with this idea like, oh, I gotta look like a chiseled Greek god after I go to the gym. And I set all these crazy high, unrealistic expectations, but I didn't know better. I didn't know better because nobody was there to tell me, oh my God, this is how you're going to look after 6 months, 3 months, 6 months. This is what's normal. This is what to expect. And I set these unrealistic expectations. And then after a year or 2 years of going to the gym, I literally developed body dysmorphia because of this. I developed body dysmorphia because I had this expectation that my body should look like this, and it didn't look like this. And I started to think, what's wrong with me? My body is ugly. Everyone else's body looks so good. You would see those Instagram posts, right? 6 months after going to the gym, a year after going to the gym. And in your head, you're like, what the fuck? How are these people achieving these results? Is there something fundamentally wrong with me on the genetic level? And I had to adjust my mindset. I didn't want to go to the gym just to look great anymore. In fact, I don't even care about that anymore because I was happier when I didn't have the expectation. I was happier when I didn't care what my body looked like. So I adjusted my expectations. Happiness didn't come from having an expectation and really, really trying to chase it. Happiness came from, I accept what I am and I am happy with what I am. That's where my happiness came from. So I still go to the gym. I didn't drop going to the gym because that would be bad. It's going to the gym wasn't the problem. The problem was that my expectation and my perceptions had changed. I expected a certain result, and then my perception of what my body should look like had changed. So I think this is a big issue we have on social media right now. I think we should encourage people to go to the gym, not to get like the best looking body, not for ego. We're encouraging people to go to the gym to feed their ego. You gotta look the best, man. Like, what's the most like tropiest reason why we tell people to go to the gym? Because, oh, you gotta flex on your ex. You gotta get the body that makes you flex on your ex. It's all ego. Everyone is encouraging people to go to the gym to fuel their ego. And I think that the rise in levels of body dysmorphia that we see in society is enough evidence that that's just not working. It's having devastating consequences because social media has distorted our realistic expectations of what the results of our training for a certain amount of period should be. So what I have learned from my experience in the gym is that it's not that you shouldn't try to get a better looking body, but you should only compare yourself first off Compare yourself only to yourself. If I had not seen all those people on social media that had what I would consider aesthetic, Greek god bodies, the Chad bodies, I would have no expectation of what my body should look like after 3 months, 6 months, a year. It comes from the comparison. So the first step you have to take, and what I've done is I've just stopped comparing. I just don't care anymore. I'm not looking at these guys. I can look at them and not be like, oh, I wish I had that body, because that's where a lot of it was coming from. I was comparing myself and I was looking at these people on social media. Oh my God, this person looks great. This person looks amazing. I don't look anything like that. And that was all bad. I had to cut that shit out, because all that shit was doing was creating an expectation, an unrealistic expectation, because me and that person I'm comparing myself, we're not the same person. We've lived completely different lives. They have completely different genetics than me. I don't even know what, like, if what their steroid use looks like. They have completely different knowledge levels of fitness than me. It's not a fair comparison. The only fair comparison we can make for ourselves is comparing ourselves to ourselves of the past. So my first step and my first piece of advice is just like, I just stopped comparing myself to other people, because that was really the biggest thing that was causing me, like, oh my God, I don't look as good as this person. I just stopped all that shit. The next part is I changed what my expectations were. I did not expect to become a Greek god anymore. I was okay if my body doesn't change. And that sounds crazy. You're like, what the hell? You're crazy. If nothing changed about your body, what's the point of going to the gym? The reason I set my expectations so low is I had realized that having a super high expectation, when I couldn't meet that expectation, it caused disappointment. So even though I made progress, I wasn't happy with my progress because I didn't meet the expectations that I had set for myself. So the next thing I had to do was I lowered my expectations. And how can your expectations get lower than saying, I'm okay if I don't change? I guess lower than that is saying, I don't care if I get like fatter and stuff like that. But I lowered my expectations. So I'm like, I go to the gym and I'm going to work out and I'm going to be fit. But if my body doesn't become the most aesthetic looking body, I'm fine with that. That is not what I'm striving for. That's not what I'm trying to achieve. And now I go to the gym just for health, just for fitness. I say, how do I feel mentally? How do I feel cognitively? Am I happy? Do I feel like this is improving my focus? And I really just go to the gym now for health. And I think that's kind of what we should start encouraging people to do. And I'm not saying there's not a healthy way to go about trying to get a more aesthetic looking body. I think there's a lot of healthy ways to go about that, but I don't think we're teaching people the healthy ways to go about that. We're teaching them all these ego-fueled reasons. Oh my God, you gotta look so freaking good. And the ego can lead us to some really bad paths, down some really bad paths. So I think having these ego-fueled reasons for going to the gym, at least for me, were highly detrimental, because I just couldn't reach the expectations, and I was just so much happier. And it's contrary to like what everyone would have you believe. Everyone makes you think, oh, you're gonna feel so much better after going to the gym, but you're not gonna feel better if you have set unrealistic expectations that you cannot achieve. So be careful about the expectations you set for yourself. Be realistic. Try to only compare yourself to yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people, because the only fair comparison you can make is to yourself. And potentially even lower your expectations of yourself, because we don't control our genetics. So we could be being really hard on ourselves when we just have a genetic code. Hi, fire truck. Because there's no point on being really hard on yourself if the reason that your body doesn't look the way that somebody else's looks is because they were born with a genetic code that makes building a more aesthetic body easier for them, because that exists. Like, a lot of people I know don't want to acknowledge that, but that does exist. Like, there's a variance in how much muscle you could build, how your body's going to look, where the muscle's going to grow. Like, so it's like just stop. It's like, just lower those expectations, try your best, and just be happy with the progress you make. This does not mean you can't optimize. You can't be like trying to track your calories. You could do that in a healthy way. You could optimize your life and strive for a goal in a healthy way by being very happy with the process, making sure you love it, making sure you're happy with what you're doing, making sure you're not having these unrealistic expectations, that you're not comparing yourself to everyone else, and only comparing yourself to yourself. So I hope that helps somebody. This is just my experience with trying to go to the gym, and from some soul searching of myself, this is what I found led to me being more unhappy. And I think implementing some of these strategies could allow you to be more happy when you actually go to the gym yourself.